Okay, I want to start by saying that we have done a terrible, terrible job of engaging travelers and making sustainability meaningful. The big S word should be forbidden from any form of communication ever again this customer facing, okay? This is a nice vocabulary to talk amongst ourselves and to talk to engineers and to talk to, in publications, in governments and so on, but consumers, they care about the content of sustainability, but they don't care about the word itself, okay? So you need to really figure out, this is basically lessons that come from environmental psychology. You need specific messages. You do not want vague messages. Every message that is broad doesn't really help to you as a consumer. And you need messages that are implicit about sustainability, not explicit, okay? So the message that basically says, I'm a sustainable company, you're gonna get shut down for that because essentially none of us are sustainable. Whereas if you find a way of showing how that sustainability means something to the consumer experience, it's going to work a lot better. I see too many messages on sustainability where the beneficiary is not clear. And fundamentally, there is only one beneficiary of sustainability that matters to me when I go on holiday, and that's me. I paid for that holiday. I've saved all year round, and I want to know that by going to a sustainable place, I'm going to have a better time. If you sell me anything else, okay? We've seen a lot of evidence, we've done tests, not questionnaires. Please never, ever do a questionnaire again, asking somebody, are you sustainable, yes or no? Because it's a bit like somebody doing a question and saying, Ian, are you a good husband, yes or no? What will you answer? Of course you'll answer yes. Never, please, do another questionnaire. Do experiments. Do things where you say to people, you give people the options of doing different things and you see how they actually behave differently. And with Ian, we've been doing some of that, and maybe he's telling you or maybe he's not. Okay, so I won't spoil the surprise. But so the beneficiary really has to be much, much clearer. In all the experiments we've seen, for example, we did a big experiment in Germany, and we found that even people who were hardcore green people, when you showed them a brochure that said sustainability in soft words and focus on the benefits for me, and another one that showed the kind of hard facts, even the deep green people wanted the soft messages. Because they said the other stuff, it's okay when I'm at home, but I've saved 51 weeks of the year, the week number 52, just bug off, okay? Just let me be, let me enjoy myself. I'm going to feel guilty again for the other 51 weeks when I go home. Don't spoil it now. And personalize the messages. Find a way of making me feel that this is about me, right? Put it this way, why are we letting the engineering departments, okay, the people that know about sustainability hardcore content, that's the boiler man, that's the guy that will tell you how to fix the boiler in your hotel and reduce carbon emissions. Do not let the boiler man mess with your advertising. In the same way, you never allow your advertising person mess with the boiler, okay? You know that the boiler would blow up, then don't do it the other way around either, because your marketing ends up being pitiful. You need experiential messages. You need messages that allow me to visualize myself at the center of the experience. I need to be able to see myself having fun. When it comes to Christmas, most of you will buy perfumes. How many people have sold you a perfume based on the chemical formula of what goes in the perfume? Nobody. What do you buy in a perfume? An impossibly ridiculous picture of somebody who looks far too handsome, but you aspire to looking and feeling a bit like them, okay? And they look really happy because of what they bought. Use social norms. We've seen messages that say that by simply saying the majority of people that stay in this hotel reuse their towels, the percentage of people reusing towels goes up by 15, 20%. You're thinking, well, that seems really simple. Why don't we do this more often? Use storytelling. Find a way that you can use ways that people will feel more empathetic towards the product. I've seen people telling you to recycle by using comic strips. And you know what? It was the only time I read an entire environmental policy, okay? Because it was fun. It was made interesting. Use authority. The eco-labels may well work if you actually show me where is the authority behind it. But then what you can't just do is to give me that message alone, the label by itself, and expect that the story will be told by as it is. Tell me messages that are salient. Different messages, different groups will be interested in different things. Okay? So if you want to sell to me that by selling local eggs from the local chickens is sustainable, you need to say, Who is my target market? If I have clients that are more than 50 years old, I will sell local eggs as nostalgia. Do you remember when omelettes used to have lovely color and they were flavorsome? If you're selling me the same eggs but you've got young families, you'll say, do your children know where the eggs come from? From a chicken's bottom, right? And suddenly then it's fun. We all know it doesn't come from their bottom, right? Okay, but that's a different story. But you know what I mean? Make it relevant. Don't just tell me they're local eggs. You tell me they're local eggs, it's like, bah, okay? There's more content in here. I just want to focus on the last couple of things here. Do not moralize. Don't make people feel bad. Don't be assertive. Nobody likes you saying, be sustainable. That wagging the finger, you're saying, whoa, I'm the customer, right? I'm paying for this. I don't think so. It causes reactance. If you tell somebody you can have any sweeties you want, except the red ones, guess which ones they want to buy, okay? And people do moral licensing, which is, you tell me now I have to be good for lunch, and yes, I'm going to have a nice salad. You know what I'm going to do? I'll compensate for it by having a big steak for dinner. So actually, sometimes the mistake that we make is making people feel guilty now. You only change the behavior short term. Thank you.
Hi, sorry about that. Slight delay due to technical issues. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Victoria Barlow, and I'm the Group Environmental Manager for Thomas Cook. I'm sorry, but my presentation is littered with the S word. So we do take our responsibility to sustainability seriously, and we aim to make a difference with every holiday. And this is something that we've been doing for nearly the past 2 centuries. So 176 years ago, our founder, Thomas Cook, began this company with a vision to broaden the mind of others and break down the partition walls of prejudice, with laying the foundations of the company that bears his name today. Once describing himself as the willing and devoted servant of the travelling public, Thomas Cook was a true pioneer of the travel industry, opening up a world of new destinations and new travel experiences to everyone. Today, Thomas Cook Group plc is one of the world's largest leading leisure travel companies. We take over 19 million customers on holiday each year, and we're supported by 22,000 employees across all of our source markets. We operate over 16 countries, from Sweden to Germany to Poland to France, and we're number 1 or 2 by revenue in each of these markets. We're an integrated tourism business. What that means is we have hotels, we have airlines, and we also have a retail network of over 3,000 stores across Europe. As the world's oldest tourism business, we understand more than most the impact that tourism can have. So what are we doing about it? Well, we launched our first sustainability strategy back in 2010 to manage the issues which were important to ourselves and our key stakeholders. Whilst we delivered some significant changes, our business and the world around us has changed significantly since then. So in 2016, we did an in-depth review of all of our sustainability activities across the business and developed a much more cohesive and coherent strategy. Our new strategy, we've simplified our activities to optimise our impact, and we have 3 key themes in which we're working across. So the first one is to put our customer at the heart of what we do and to contribute to the communities in which we live and work, and we do this through our charitable and community programmes. The second one is to deliver resource efficiencies and run our operations as efficiently as we can. So, for example, we have a big programme around airline fuel efficiency. The third one is to deliver products and services and minimising local impacts wherever possible, for example, through our commitment to our supply chain management and sustainability certifications in our hotels. So our 3 goals have associated targets which guide all of our activities and which are underpinned by engaging all of our 22,000 employees. To be honest, this has been the biggest focus of our sustainability work so far. We believe by having our engaged employees, they can then help engage the holidaymaker in choosing a more responsible product. So I just wanted to touch on some thoughts on changing consumer attitudes in this area. We know that customer demands are changing rapidly, and our businesses are operating under greater demand for transparency. Customers expect that we're taking care of these issues on their behalf. We know that ABTA did some research back in 2013 that showed that 23% of consumers were likely to choose one travel company over another based on a better environmental record. TripAdvisor found that 79% of travellers globally think that it is important that accommodation providers have eco-friendly practices. Again, apologies, but we did some consumer research ourselves last year. We didn't ask people whether they'd be more sustainable or not, but we did find a number of things from our holiday report in 2017. We found that 65% of those respondents rated sustainability as an important issue when on holiday, but we do know that there is still a gap between these claims and the reality, and holidaymakers still choose holidays based on experiences and prices first. But a third of those questioned did want more detail and specific information on sustainability, showing that the plethora of certification schemes that are out there perhaps aren't having the impact needed and can lead to confusion. One of the suggestions that came back from this survey was that in order to increase support for sustainable behaviour whilst on holiday would be to help holidays makers save some money. So, for example, if you reuse your towels for longer or have your room cleaned less frequency, perhaps there should be a discount for you at the latest after 1 week of your stay. It's an interesting approach. I don't believe it is in existence for the travel industry at the moment, but I believe that could be quite challenging to implement, and I don't always believe that money should be a real motivator for this issue. So in the meantime, I believe we can encourage more sustainable behaviour in a more engaging way, and I'll just touch on a couple of examples that we're working on at Thomas Cook to deliver this in collaboration with our partners. So reducing food waste in hotels. We know that a third of all global food production is disposed of each year, and in a world where 925 million people are starving, this waste is unjustifiable. Also, the vast amount of resources required to produce the food in the first place are also wasted. So we know that the travel industry is a significant contributor to this, and our analysis has shown that 60% of the food production in hotels is thrown away. The main sources of this food waste come from food preparation, leftovers from the buffets, and leftovers that is left on our holidaymakers' plates. Research shows that 47% of guests want a full range of food and drink at all times, but 57% would also accept smaller portions if food waste could be avoided. So in partnership with For Tourists and United Against Waste, we've worked on a project to reduce food waste in the hotel industry. We've worked with chefs and hoteliers to develop a manual and a checklist of practical solutions that they can do, and this will be trained out to all relevant staff. So implemented improvements to reduce the production of this waste include more effective forecasting, smaller pots and dishes on the buffet areas, and information tablets in the kitchen that split the number of guests that is still yet to use the buffet facility into adults and children so the chefs can cater accordingly. We've also experimented with different types of communications to customers on this issue at the point of sale on the buffet to see what works and makes the most impact. So we've got one sign says, "Taste not waste," and the other says to the buffet restaurant, "Welcome, don't take more than you can eat," just to act as that quick reminder as you're going around the buffet that, you know, it is a buffet, you can come back and get more if you need to, but don't overfill your plate on that first instance. The second point I wanted to touch on was just looking at what we can do regarding communications in the guest rooms. We've all seen the notices in hotels which tell you to save the world by reusing your towel. It's a grand claim, or the principle behind it is worthwhile, but we notice that those signs are becoming a bit like wallpaper and aren't really seen anymore. To try and bring them back to life, Travel Life, a sustainability certification scheme that we work with, have looked at how they can really bring customer communications to the forefront in an original and creative way. I don't know how well you can see those, but on the slides you can see that this is what's been achieved. So we've got "Our sheets are softer on the planet," "Let the locals be your guidebook," "How's it hanging?" for reusing towels, and "Oh no." All bring the areas that the customer can have an impact over to life. It's not done in a preachy way or a sacrificial way or a wagging finger way. It's done in a way that makes it's not done in a way that makes customers feel guilty about enjoying their holiday to the detriment of the planet. But it's done in a positive and practical way, which makes us as consumers feel like we are contributing to making a difference. And we're actually rolling out these communications to all of our own brand hotels going forward. So these are just two examples where we can engage in a practical way with holidaymakers to help them reduce their impact on the environment without sacrificing on their overall experience. So sustainable tourism is not something that should be seen as a niche product or marketing exercise, but something which can be brought to the mass market in an integral part of our holiday offering. There's always more that we can do, but if we continue to work together as an industry, we can make a difference with every holiday. Thank you.
Okay, we'll begin. These are my slides. We'll go with the blue screen. I'm Ian Corbett. I'm the Sustainable Business Manager for TUI UK and Ireland. So I'm going to be talking about how we, as the world's leading tourism business, are engaging our customers on sustainability. We've been working on this for 25 years or more, starting in Germany, then spreading to our other source markets. We've now got an industry-leading sustainability strategy called Better Holidays, Better World, which will be known to many of you. And yet I'm stood here today to say that really we're just starting to talk to our customers about how our better business practices can result in better brand experiences. And it seems crazy, and I sort of ask myself, why is it? And I guess, like a lot of other marketeers, you know, we worry that the context isn't quite right, that we haven't got the carefully crafted story that we want, or if we go out and start talking about it, we'll be accused of greenwash. So we've held back, and then, you know what, we've decided, we've changed our name from Thompson to TUI. It's a great opportunity to change the way that we're going to talk to consumers about sustainability. So I'm going to talk to you about 3 different ways that we're going to do it. The first one is that we have made sustainability part of our TUI brand story. If you go onto our website now, you'll see that there's 5 things that we want to be famous for as TUI, and one of them is personal service. And service to us means taking care of you as a customer and also taking care of the environment. And I guess that's sort of what Xavier was mentioning, that, you know, we can talk about that to a niche audience, but if we're going to mainstream this, what we need to do is talk about sustainability without mentioning the word across all the different experiences that we offer. So if I'm going to a Sensatori hotel, what that means to me and my experience is completely different to what it might mean if I'm booking an excursion, perhaps. So what we're doing now is, for each of our reasons to believe in TUI, we are weaving in sustainability initiatives and talking about the consumer benefits that offers. The second way that we're doing it is through the tone of voice that we use. So when we speak to customers, they're really, really interested in how these initiatives can make for a more memorable holiday experience. But the one thing they say to us is, please, don't preach, don't get all pompous or serious, talk to us in your normal brand voice. So whenever you see us talking about it, you won't see the word sustainability mentioned, you won't see us go into this different voice. It will be the TUI tone of voice talking about what it means to TUI customers. The next thing that we really want to do is to make it more inspiring. And again, I make no apologies for the fact it links to what Xavier was saying. We've got to avoid the arid language of sustainability and instead talk to customers about the taste, the touch, the scents, the smells, the sounds, what it means to them, how it means they're going to have a better holiday. For us, it's no surprise our strategy is called Better Holidays, Better World. The holiday and the customer has to come first. Many of you may have seen this. It's one of the communications we put out to talk to customers about how we're becoming TUI. And we pitched for a space in a sort of experiential, inspirational magazine against everything else that we could have talked about. This wasn't me going with my little green flag, waving it, saying, please put me in so we can tick a box. This was our creative team saying, you know what, this is really rich, engaging, interesting content that we know our customers are going to be interested about. So that's how we got the 4-page spread in there alongside our holiday concepts, alongside all the other great things that TUI has to offer. The other thing that we're doing is we're trying to help our marketing colleagues understand the sorts of things that customers are interested in. And I suppose it's probably no surprise that when you talk to customers, they're interested in local food. Of course they are. Is it fresh? Is it seasonal? What's the story around the provenance? But they're also interested in food waste and what we do with that. They're really interested in local people, local stories, insights from the staff at hotels, and also around artisans, crafts, and local culture. So if we can weave the right sort of stories, do our jobs as marketeers, and bring that to life, customers can understand how they're going to have a more unique and more memorable holiday, and we don't even have to mention sustainability at all. You'll see there our TUI collection excursions, which again I think is a great example. If I was talking to a sustainability audience, I would say that there are excursions with sustainability at the heart of them, because they are, and we've got lots of checklists and so forth. But to customers, we talk about how it means that they're going to have a richer, more memorable experience and understand the local culture better and have better stories to tell when they get back. So it's at the heart, but we don't need to talk about it like that, dependent upon the intended audience. I think the third thing that we're doing is we're asking our customers to play their part. There's a bit of a myth that mainstream customers leave their morals behind when they go on holiday and they aren't interested in the role that they have to play. And we know from when we talk to customers that definitely isn't the case. They are prepared to play their part, provided that you do it the right way. And when I say the right way, what I mean is that we talk to them as normal human beings about their normal everyday habits. We make it easy for them, we make it clear, and if we do that, then of course they'll play their part. And here's the example that Xavier was mentioning earlier, which my colleague Melvin has been researching. It's a hotel in the Canary Islands, and what Melvin did with Xavier's help is for 1 month they tested different messages to see how can we change customers' behaviour around reusing towels. And what we found very clearly and very strongly is that it is when you talk about everyday habits that people connect with it, and they will do like they do at home, okay? If you threaten them, if you make grand claims about saving the planet, or worse still, try to use humour, it goes even worse than if you don't have any signs at all. So yes, it's one hotel, yes, it's just towels, but I think the insight that if we talk to customers around habits rather than threats, if we avoid the overheated language, then this is how we can start to make traction and how we can start to see some behaviour change. So summing up, as TUI, there's 3 things that we're doing. Number 1, it's part of our brand, and we're talking to our consumers in our everyday tone of voice. Number 2, we're using sustainability as a means to create engaging, inspiring content that explains how it makes for a better holiday, as well as for a better world. And number 3, we're asking our customers to play their part, but we're doing it in a way that they understand, recognise and appreciate, rather than by wagging the finger, as Xavier so eloquently put it. So thank you, that's me.
Thanks very much indeed, Ian. I think the point you're making, that a lot of this will come from mainstreaming sustainability into the design of the products, is absolutely right. But a slight change of gear now. Sandra Cavao is here from UNWTO, and she's going to talk, I think, mainly about the recent campaign they've launched, talking directly with consumers about their behaviour when they're away on holiday.
afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Oh, good, there's people there. Very good. I was in a presentation this morning and someone said when I say good morning, I expect people to say good morning back. So I thought it would be a good way maybe to wake you up a little bit, especially as we're talking about people here. And I think this is probably one of the things that sometimes we tend to forget. We're talking about human beings and behavior. My name is Sandra, as Harold mentioned, and I'm in charge of communications at the World Tourism Organization. We're a UN agency, and obviously, generally our mandate is not to talk to consumers. We talk to governments, we talk to the private sector, but it's not part of our role so far to talk to consumers. So this year, as we celebrate International Year of Sustainable Tourism for Development, we decided to embark for the first time ever on a consumer campaign, which is actually called Travel, Enjoy, Respect. And our biggest challenge when we were doing the briefing, and this was done totally in-house, was what Xavier mentioned. How do we bring not the pointing finger to the messaging? How do we tell people it's a fun thing to do? It's a benefit for you. You can do it because it's good for you. And I think there's a lot that travel and tourism can learn from other sectors here, because I think this is the first thing we need to look beyond the silos. We're looking at our consumers as travelers, but they're people. So at home, they have a certain behavior. They were educated to recycle not that long ago. When we look back, how many years are we recycling home? So we do it why? Because we have recycle bins at home. We have recycle bins close to our houses that we can put the garbage into. But I can tell you, I travel quite a lot, and I only saw a recycle bin in one hotel in my life, in my bedroom. So I think this is something that when we talk about consumers and consumer behavior, it would be very interesting to do the parallel between what's happening in travel and tourism and other industries. When I think about this issue, I think I would focus on 3 key messages. The first one is make it easy. People will change their behavior if it's easy for them. If I have to go and turn out 10 lights in my room before I leave, I might not do it. If I have one that actually turns out everything, I might do it because it's one. I don't have to run from little lamps around the room for 5 minutes to turn them on. So I think product development is key here. The second thing is engagement. We're talking about engaging consumers. And if we look back, especially in Western countries, much of the education was done through children. So I think children should be one of the focus that we need to look into. Engage children in learning how to be responsible when they're on holidays, and they will impact the behavior of their parents. And you can do so in a very easy way. Games, most of the all-inclusive have games for children. Instead of doing normal games, do games where they actually gain something by being sustainable. Sorry, I used the S word. So I think it's very much about product development, engaging, education, because people don't know their impact most of the time, and make it easier for people. I think we need still significant research, questionnaires, no questionnaires, but we don't know why someone takes one decision. How many of you actually decide on an holiday and think, oh my God, this is not sustainable, or I'll choose an hotel which is more sustainable than other? Anyone does that when they book? Okay, I think we have 3 hands, 4 hands in the air. So I think there's still a lot to be done to understand consumers. And I come from a market research background. I don't think we can jump into the messaging without understanding the behavior. So my message here is, as an industry, we need to get together first to know better our consumers, and then we can motivate them. And we need to all work together in passing this message. From UNWTO, what we've done with this campaign is opening a very, very small door. And we've done it with the private sector because they're the ones who have a consumer-facing operation. We don't. We're an institutional organization made by governments, but we were very happy because a lot of the private sector came on board, which means there's appetite for it. But coming to one of the points that was discussed earlier, I don't think that that would be part of the messaging of companies while we don't do the business case for it. It's only when the companies see the economic benefit of having consumers engaged that will change. So I think we need to change the way we approach consumer change in travel and tourism. And I think this is the message I wanted to leave with you today. And please use travel in your respect when tweeting about it. And the idea is that we create a global movement around it. Thank you so much.
And the reason is, if I don't, I completely dry up. I'm really not well. Thank you very much. Who has the first question? Oh, Xavier.
Sandra just asked about the business case for some of this, and I just wanted to follow on from what Ian was saying earlier on. The campaign on towels that he mentioned, we changed essentially the typical boring message to one that said, please reuse me tomorrow, just like at home. TUI is going to save 1.9 million euros per year through reduced towel usage on the back of changing one stupid message in bedrooms. There is a very clear business case. For us, interestingly, when we tried humour, which is what you've tried, it didn't work. Maybe because 60% of the customers we tried it on were German, and they said, frankly, I don't get it. Okay? But whereas actually the British market responded quite well to the humour message. Maybe we'd written the message in the UK, and that's why they understood it better. But I think we need to experiment a lot more with this. But there is clearly a business case if we write it better.
I think what's important about that, though, Xavier, is that it's a business case which is specific to different markets. There is no global market for tourism. There are a series of national markets, and we often don't make enough of that. Who has the next question?
Thank you. It's a question for Ian, just carrying on the about the towels. When you said that hotel spoke to people about their habits at home, what kind of language did you actually use? How did you engage with the consumers to try and make them reuse their towels?
As Xavier just said, essentially it was reuse your towel like you do every day at home. But yeah, it was exactly the same. It was exactly the same message in exactly the same location, and then we just adjusted the wording to see purely in terms of words what would have the biggest impact, and it was the habits one.
I live in Cape Town, which many of you may know is going through a water crisis at the moment. And perhaps this question or observation was more relevant in the previous discussion, but I think it's just as relevant here, because it's all about changing people's behavior. 3 years ago, and Cape Town is in a winter rainfall season, as everyone knows, so you're told don't come to Cape Town in winter because it rains all the time. Well, 3 years ago, we were saying, oh dear, it hasn't rained this year so much. 2 years ago, we said, wow, we have a bit of a problem. This year, we're saying, oh my God, it's a crisis. Because I'm just looking at some statistics. In 2015, our dams were at 70% of capacity. In 2016, they're at 59.4% of capacity. In 2017, they're at 37.8%. Now, what that means is that in this period between this time last year and now, we've used 21% of the water, the available water. Plus, you can't use the last 10%. So actually, we are 31% down on last year, which will leave us with 7.8% of our water supply come February or March next year. Now that potentially has a huge impact on tourism. And I guess my observation is, why do we wait until there's a crisis before we do something?
Just thank you very much for your comment. I agree, and I think this goes back to making the business case for why we make tourism more sustainable, because it helps our license to operate. So if we're encouraging increasing use of water when a destination can't actually deliver that demand for water, people are going to move on to a different destination. But actually that's just not sustainable. So that's why we encourage all of our hotels, our own brand hotels, to go for a Travel Life Sustainability certification so they can work on reducing energy consumption, managing water effectively, as well as all the social and human rights side of it. But at Thomas Cook, we've also worked again in partnership with Futuris, to help deliver a water saving manual for hoteliers, which gives again some really, really practical actions that the hotels can take to manage and reduce water consumption, going from measuring and monitoring to towel reusage and laundry reusage, to even looking at indirect water usage by the food that is consumed on the buffets that they provide, because obviously there's a huge amount of water that's used in developing food, and if we can use more food that consumes less water as it's grown, it has a positive impact on the destination if it's grown locally. But I agree, we shouldn't have to wait until it becomes a crisis before anything is done about it. And if we manage our resources more effectively now, then we have a better license to operate in the future.
Xavier, can you be brief with your answer, please?
Yeah, what is difficult to do is to ask tourists to use less water while they're on holiday. When we work with TUI, we said to them, we wrote a message for showers that said a cooler shower after a full day on the beach is better for your skin, on the basis that nobody has a cold, long shower. When you have a colder shower, it's always shorter. And we thought we were selling it on your personal benefit to your health, not on safe water because local people don't have any.
Thanks, Xavier. Peter, you're going to have the last question.
It's a question regarding the fact that in most instances, in my experience anyway, it's not one thing that actually ends up doing the job. It's a combination of things. And one of the things that I've found in my travels is to be able to say to people in the hospitality area, in housekeeping, okay, please do not change my towel because I don't change it at home any more than once a week. Please do not change my sheets because I don't change them at home for any more than once a week. So the question is, with TUI, Thomas Cook, whomever, is there a policy within the company, or could there be, whereby internal hospitality training of the staff, because every time I say it, these people say, wow, really? I said, yeah, really, once a week for my towels and once a week for my sheets. What about the policy of buying places that do that and not buying those that don't?
Okay, I'll go first on that. So you're absolutely right, behaviour change. We talk a lot about customers, it's also around staff as well. And in fact, I'll let Xavier talk about, it did come through in the study that we mentioned. As you know, at TUI, we design and operate many of our own hotel concepts, and absolutely that type of staff training is at the core of what we do. One, for behaviour and also for customer engagement. So it is a collective effort around customers and our colleagues, and the training really is the bridge between the two. But Xavier, do you want to give a bit of insight on the towel study once more?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Here's the key thing, and it is the staff training that makes a bigger difference. The more expensive the hotel, the more luxurious, the more they also feel they need to change it. So one of the fundamental things that we had to work on here is implementing these changes in the towel messages as a way of actually producing the staff training and reinforcing to the staff that this is an important thing. I've seen a number of hotel chains that say, this is one of our key performance indicators, number of towels reused. But it's not a performance-related pay key performance indicator. But whereas a performance-related pay key performance indicator is customer satisfaction with their rooms. And the chambermaids thought that they would rather sacrifice the towel reusage KPI and not the other one.
Sandra, you're going to have the last word.
Yeah, sorry about that. No, I just wanted to connect the training with incentives, because I think the same way there is the staff of the month related to many other issues, I think we need to incentivize people also to be recognized if they do an effort in an area. And maybe we need to create the staff of the month who's responsible for the best sustainable behavior and be an example to others, because we've managed to do that with so many other factors that I think it's looking into them and see how we can transport that behavior to being more responsible.
Thanks very much indeed, Sandra. I'm just going to have the final word, in the sense that 2 years ago I was going to run a big campaign to get people to go to the front desk and complain if they put their towels back on the rack And they went back in the evening and they'd been changed. And I decided not to do it because I realised that it was the person at the lowest point in the hotel who was going to get the blame for that. They would have penalised the room attendants. They would have not taken it on the nose with the hotel management, which is where the problem lies, not with the room attendants. The room attendants quite rightly work out that they're more likely to be in trouble for not changing the towel than they are for changing it. So they change it. Can we thank the panel? Thanks very much, guys. Thanks, Sandra.